Today I will discuss about hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is located in the basal part of the diencephalon. It is located below the thalamus and above the pituitary. The hypothalamus is connected to the pituitary by a narrow stalk called infundibulum. Pituitary is also known as hypophysis. Infundibulum is also known as pituitary stalk. Both hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract and hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system pass through this infundibulum. However, they are different components within the stalk. The infundibulum is a downward extension of the tuber cinereum of the hypothalamus. The hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract is the neural pathway where axons of magnocellular neurons from the supraoptic nucleus and paraventricular nucleus descend through the infundibulum and terminate in the posterior pituitary, where they release neurohormones like oxytocin and vasopressin. Vasopressin is also known as antidiuretic hormone. While on the other hand, the hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system is the vascular pathway which begins in the median eminence with the primary capillary plexus. Blood enters the hypophyseal portal veins which descends through the infundibulum. These veins end in the secondary capillary plexus of the anterior pituitary, delivering hypothalamic releasing and inhibiting hormones. The median eminence is a small specialized region of the inferior surface of the hypothalamus. The median eminence lies between the tuber cinereum of the hypothalamus and the upper end of the infundibulum and serve as the principal interface between the hypothalamus and anterior pituitary. The median eminence contains the primary capillary plexus of the hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system. It also contains axon terminals of parvocellular neurosecretory neurons from the hypothalamic nuclei. Median eminence is the site where hypothalamic hormones enter the portal blood to reach the anterior pituitary. A capillary plexus is a network of interconnected capillaries. The hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system begins with primary capillary plexus in the median eminence of the hypothalamus and end in the anterior pituitary with secondary capillary plexus. Hypothalamus is a small part that forms the floor and the inferolateral walls of the third ventricle. Hypothalamus is composed predominantly of grey matter. Although it is small, but it is a vital part of the brain. It acts as the main homeostatic center of the body by linking the nervous system with the endocrine system. The hypothalamus is divided into three main regions. The anterior region is called the supraoptic region, the middle region is called the tuberal region, and the posterior region is called the mammillary region. There is another region called the preoptic region which is not a true part of hypothalamus and is located anterior to the hypothalamus, just in front of the optic chiasma. Although the preoptic region is not a true part of hypothalamus, but it is closely associated with the hypothalamus. It has extensive connection with the hypothalamic nuclei and participate in many hypothalamic functions. Therefore, both of them are said to form a complex called hypothalamic preoptic complex. Today I will discuss about the true parts of hypothalamus, that is supraoptic region in the front, tuberal region in the middle, and mammillary region in the back. First I will discuss about the supraoptic region of hypothalamus. As discussed earlier, supraoptic region forms the anterior part of the hypothalamus. The major nuclei present in the supraoptic region of hypothalamus are supraoptic nucleus, paraventricular nucleus, suprachiasmatic nucleus, and anterior hypothalamic nucleus. First I will discuss about supraoptic nucleus. Supraoptic nucleus contains magnocellular neurosecretory neurons like vasopressin producing cells and oxytocin producing cells. From the name of the cell, it is clear that vasopressin producing cell produces the antidiuretic hormone vasopressin and the oxytocin producing cell produces oxytocin. But it is to be remembered that vasopressin is mainly produced by supraoptic nucleus and a little amount of oxytocin. These hormones which are produced by the supraoptic nucleus are transmitted to the posterior pituitary by hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract for release from the posterior part of the pituitary. This tract is nothing but axons of hypothalamic neurons, which we have already discussed earlier. Supraoptic nucleus is also important for water balance and blood pressure regulation. Now I will discuss about paraventricular nucleus. Paraventricular nucleus of the supraoptic region contains magnocellular neurosecretory neurons and parvocellular neurosecretory neurons. Magnocellular neurosecretory neurons are of two types. They are oxytocin producing cells and vasopressin producing cells. The oxytocin producing cells produces oxytocin and vasopressin producing cells produces the antidiuretic hormone vasopressin. However, in contrast to supraoptic nucleus, paraventricular nucleus mainly produce oxytocin and little amount of vasopressin. The neurohormones like oxytocin and vasopressin are transmitted to the posterior pituitary by hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract for release from the posterior pituitary. Now, parvocellular neurosecretory neurons of paraventricular nucleus are of two types. They are corticotropin releasing hormone producing cell and thyrotropin releasing hormone producing cell. Corticotropin releasing hormone producing cell secretes corticotropin releasing hormone, whereas thyrotropin releasing hormone producing cells secretes thyrotropin releasing hormone. The releasing hormones like corticotropin releasing hormone and thyrotropin releasing hormone are released into the hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal circulation to reach the anterior pituitary. Corticotropin releasing hormone stimulates the anterior pituitary to release adrenocorticotropic hormone, which is also known as corticotropin or ACTH in short, ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone. Adrenocorticotropic hormone in turn stimulates the adrenal cortex to secrete cortisol. While on the other hand, thyrotropin releasing hormone stimulates the anterior pituitary to release thyrotropin, which is also known as thyroid stimulating hormone. Thyrotropin releasing hormone also stimulates prolactin secretion to a lesser extent from the anterior pituitary. Paraventricular nucleus of the supraoptic region also regulates autonomic function. Now I will discuss about suprachiasmatic nucleus. Suprachiasmatic nucleus is the master biological clock of the body, as it generates and synchronizes body's circadian rhythm and sleep-wake cycle. Suprachiasmatic nucleus receives direct input from the retina. Suprachiasmatic nucleus also regulates hormone secretion. Now I will discuss about anterior hypothalamic nucleus. Anterior hypothalamic nucleus is responsible for heat dissipation, that is the process of losing excess body heat to the environment to maintain normal body temperature. This nucleus also promotes parasympathetic activity. Now I will discuss about the tuberal region, that is the middle region of the human hypothalamus. The tuberal region lies around the tuber cinerarium of the hypothalamus and is located between supraoptic region in the front and mammillary region at the back. The major nuclei present in the tuberal region are arcuate nucleus, which is also known as infundibular nucleus, ventromedial nucleus and dorsomedial nucleus. First I will discuss about arcuate nucleus. Arcuate nucleus contains parvocellular neurosecretory neurons, which are of two types: growth hormone releasing hormone producing neuron and dopaminergic neuron, or we can say it as tubero-infundibular dopaminergic neuron. Tubero-infundibular dopaminergic neuron. Growth hormone releasing hormone producing neurons produces growth hormone releasing hormone, which is also called somatotropin releasing hormone. Whereas dopaminergic neuron produces dopamine, which is also known as prolactin inhibiting hormone. The growth hormone releasing hormone and prolactin inhibiting hormone reach the anterior pituitary through the hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system. Arcuate nucleus also contributes to appetite regulation. Arcuate nucleus plays a major role in feeding behavior, energy balance and pituitary hormone regulation. Now I will discuss about ventromedial nucleus. Ventromedial nucleus is the satiety center, as it suppresses hunger after eating. Damage to this nucleus causes hyperphagia, that is overeating, and thus obesity. Now I will discuss about dorsomedial nucleus. Dorsomedial nucleus regulates feeding behavior, emotional responses and autonomic functions. Dorsomedial nucleus also contributes to circadian and endocrine regulation. Now I will discuss about the mammillary region, which is the posterior region of the hypothalamus. The major nuclei present in mammillary region are mammillary nuclei and posterior hypothalamic nucleus. Mammillary nuclei includes the medial mammillary nucleus and the lateral mammillary nucleus. First I will discuss about mammillary nuclei. Mammillary nuclei forms a part of the limbic system. Mammillary nuclei are important for memory function and recollection. Mammillary nuclei are connected to the hippocampus through the fornix. Now I will discuss about posterior hypothalamic nucleus. Posterior hypothalamic nucleus acts as heat conservation center. It causes vasoconstriction of the skin blood vessels, severing and increased heat production, thus helps maintain body temperature in the cold environments. Posterior hypothalamic nucleus also promotes sympathetic activity. Now I will discuss about a very important concept. There is a longitudinal zone that runs along the wall of the third ventricle throughout the hypothalamus. This zone is called periventricular zone of hypothalamus. This zone is not confined to a single hypothalamic region. In this periventricular zone, periventricular nuclei are present. Periventricular nuclei should not be confused with the paraventricular nucleus of the hypothalamus. There is one periventricular nucleus on each side of the third ventricle, which forms a longitudinal column extending from the preoptic region through the tuberal region towards the mammillary region. They are called right periventricular nucleus and left periventricular nucleus. So, there is one periventricular nucleus on each side of the third ventricle. On the right side it is right periventricular nucleus and on the left side it is left periventricular nucleus. And again I am saying that periventricular nucleus should not be confused with paraventricular nucleus of the hypothalamus. In the periventricular nucleus, there are neurons called somatostatinergic parvocellular neurosecretory neurons, which produce and release somatostatin, that is growth hormone inhibiting hormone, which are also known as somatotropin inhibiting hormone. As we know that growth hormone is also called somatotropin, so growth hormone inhibiting hormone is also known as somatotropin inhibiting hormone. These neurons send their axons to the median eminence and release somatostatin into the hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal circulation to reach the anterior pituitary, where it inhibits growth hormone secretion. So, the neurons send their axons to the median eminence and release somatostatin into the hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal circulation so that it reaches the anterior pituitary, where it inhibits the secretion of growth hormone. Somatostatin also inhibits thyroid stimulating hormone secretion to a lesser extent. Now, as discussed in the start of the session, the preoptic region is not a part of hypothalamus, as this region is located anterior to the hypothalamus, just in front of the optic chiasma. But this preoptic region is closely associated with hypothalamus, as it has extensive connection with hypothalamic nuclei and participate in many hypothalamic functions. I have already discussed about this. Therefore, both of them are said to form a complex called hypothalamic preoptic complex. This preoptic region contains preoptic nucleus, which has neurons called gonadotropin releasing hormone expressing neurons, which secrete gonadotropin releasing hormone. The axons of those neurons terminate in the median eminence, where gonadotropin releasing hormone is released into the hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal circulation to reach the anterior pituitary. This gonadotropin releasing hormone stimulates the anterior pituitary to release gonadotropins like luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. Apart from that, preoptic nucleus is also involved in thermoregulation, sleep regulation and reproductive and sexual behavior. Although at the start of the session I told that I will discuss only about the true parts of hypothalamus, that is the supraoptic region in the front, tuberal region in the middle and mammillary region at the back. Still I have discussed the preoptic region, which is not a true part of hypothalamus, in a nutshell. So This is all about hypothalamus and its different nuclei.